Hi, I'm Julian from the Interaction Multimedia Group at Utrecht University with Regan Mandryk from the University of Saskatchewan. In this talk, I want to present our paper, Daily Quests or Daily Pests, the benefits and pitfalls of engagement rewards in games. So in this paper, we're interested in engagement rewards that we defined as a positive return in a video game for completing a time-restricted, trivial task aiming to entice players to engage with the game. They are quite similar to other rewards in games, but also different in a couple of ways. First, they are usually time restricted to encourage players to engage with the game, for example, when they were set at midnight. Second, they are mostly external to the main game and outside of the structure and narrative of the game, for example, because they integrate real-world time as a time limit and break the fourth wall with that. And third, players often must complete generic reoccurring meta tasks like log into the game, play a specific number of matches. These are used in many games, and with that there are lots of examples. Daily login rewards are used, for example, by Guild Wars 2 when you get a chest with rewards for logging in. Hearthstone has rewards for generic repeating in-game challenges or quests like win 5 games or traditional ranked mode. A special variant of the logging rewards are those that use streaks, which is more valuable rewards for if you get the reward every day and which resets when not playing for a day. There are rewards that are parts of season passes, like in Fortnite, and there are rewards if you play during event periods. For example, you got a winter holiday styled cosmetic skin if you played Hearthstone in the winter holiday time. We conducted an online survey investigating how players experience such engagement rewards. For that, we generated themes for the experience of engagement rewards, and we wanted to assess if interaction with them is associated with the player's motivation, regulation, and passion orientation. We used a guided recall paradigm in which we asked participants to bring to mind a specific game that has time-restricted rewards, for example, with rewards for daily quests or logging in. This was a mixed method study in which we analyzed both qualitative and quantitative data from 178 participants. The qualitative data consisted of open responses to 4 different prompts. With the guided recall, we asked participants to think about a reward. Then they were asked to describe this reward, what they have to do to acquire it, how they feel about such rewards, and how they feel if they miss out on such a reward. We conducted an inductive thematic analysis to analyze this data. We iteratively coded the descriptions with a bottom-up approach using semantic and latent codes. After discussion and iteration, we ultimately had 4 themes for the experience of engagement rewards. First, we found that engagement rewards contributed to a positive player experience. There were many positive comments about those rewards. They thought that they were rewarding, accomplishments, and fun. One participant said, "I enjoy getting these rewards for simply playing the game." They were also associated with motivation. For example, one participant said, "I feel like it's a good way to encourage players to log in every day." With that, in many cases, these rewards were considered good. Second, engagement rewards facilitated play for some of the participants. For some participants, these rewards made it possible for them to play the game at all, mostly for games that have some sort of restriction like gated progression or because they require money. So it helped them with progress for the battle pass or in collectible card games to get cards without having to pay money. For example, one participant said, "I feel like it's a nice idea to provide players with a way to obtain this usually paid currency without investing real money." With that, these rewards were considered important for people to play the game. For example, that free-to-play players could play a game that usually requires paying money. Third, there was a theme that players sometimes had a bad experience of missing out. For example, one participant said, "It feels disappointing if I forget to play and log in to collect my bonus. I feel like I'm missing out on the free stuff if I don't get to collect it." This was also particularly a problem when losing streaks, as highlighted by one participant who said, "It depends on whether I have developed a streak of getting those daily quests. If I miss on the first day, it ain't that bad. However, if I destroy the streak where I have gotten 8 to 9 daily quests in a row, I feel pretty bad." So these rewards can lead to a bad experience if people miss out on them. In the fourth theme, for some people, these rewards were associated with an obligation to play. Participants described them as a hassle and as a chore to do, feeling like it's more like a job. Again, this was associated with streaks. One participant said, "At this point, I've had my daily streak going for 857 days, so it's almost a compulsive thing at this point. I feel like I have to do it to continue to be successful in the game." Finally, they also considered them manipulative. For example, one participant said, they feel like the developer is trying to produce addict-like behavior. So overall, these rewards were sometimes perceived quite negatively. In addition to the qualitative data, we also collected quantitative data. Participants rated how often they engage with such rewards. We used two different scales for that, with the first one referring to how often they get these rewards in general, and one that referred to how often they do these tasks just to get the reward. For example, to log into the game for the reward, even if they don't really plan to play. Participants also completed two adapted versions of validated scales, one for passion orientation and one for motivation regulation. We conducted multiple regression analysis, where we tested the relation of passion and motivation with the responses about interacting with the engagement rewards. The results suggest that natural completion of the tasks was associated with higher intrinsic motivation and harmonious passion and lower amotivation. On the other hand, players' tendency to acquire rewards just for sake of the rewards was associated with more externally regulated motivation, more motivation, and more obsessive passion for play. Overall, these results can be summarized that positive outcomes are happening for those who interact naturally with the rewards, while more negative outcomes happen for those who tend to interact with the tasks just because of the rewards. In the paper, we discussed three perspectives on these rewards. First, they can be good. They were associated with positive outcomes like enjoyment, accomplishments, and fun. They were seen as a motivation to play and enabled players to compete and play the game at all. Second, they could be bad, for example, for players who reported feeling frustrated, annoyed, disappointed, or sad, or had a fear of missing out. With that, having these rewards can backfire and lead to bad experiences. Third, they can be harmful. They were described as a chore and as a job. So for some players, it could mean that they consider games negatively if they include such rewards. They were associated with more obsessive passion for play and as designed to make players addicted. So in the worst case, these rewards could be a problem for people who may already struggle with playing too much. So in summary, we found that the experience of engagement rewards varies a lot. In the paper, we discuss implications and provide design recommendations. We highlight that they can be good for players in some cases, but also negative in other situations. We warn that engagement rewards may be perceived and experienced negatively and as ill-intentioned. With that, we add to the ongoing research and discussions about other problematic game mechanics and features like group boxes. This is also in line with other work that has investigated dark patterns in games and features that match what we investigated. Our work adds an additional lens by defining these engagement rewards and echoing that they may be harmful. We hope that developers and researchers consider implementing reward mechanics in a way that they are more beneficial, more enjoyable, and perhaps even healthier.